Well, Nicholas Stevens, man, I mean, you're the only accountant I know who probably knows more about cabbage than you do balance sheets, right? But you invented this thing for all of us now to ferment our own vegetables and stuff that we want in our kitchen, right? For under $50, we don't have to
No,
buy
$48.
$48, right? That's right. So you're doing this part time because you're a full time accountant. That's
Yeah.
terrific. Yeah. So what got you interested in food besides your stomach?
I'm that guy that likes to make everything. So I made
Ah,
mozzarella from scratch. I've made chutneys.
ah.
I made pickles. I made sauerkraut. I made vinegar. I made mead. I don't know if you've ever had that.
You made meat? You mean like it grew a cow or what?
No, MEAD. So it's
Oh,
like
oh,
wine made
MEAD.
out of honey.
I see.
I made beer. I like playing in my kitchen. Some people are like these great chefs where they make these delicious foods. I think of myself as like, this is my laboratory and I like doing scientific
Ah.
experiments. Not everything tastes great, but I really like the process.
Ah, I see. You're the mad scientist, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the, but I mean, this it looks like an elegant vase that you have for.
Yes. So my goal is that it would do something, but if you wind up not using it, I still want you to like looking at it.
I see. Right, it's a beautiful cookie jar. If nothing
Exactly.
else,
For a
right?
face. But
Right.
also something, I know this is ambitious, but if it's very strong. It's porcelain. If you take good care of it, in 100 years, I want it still to look good in someone's house.
Wow. Well,
We
and we
want
may
air
all live to
quality.
100 nowadays too. I mean,
Yeah,
if we
because
eat well, right?
if you're gonna pass down the recipes, it would be
Yes.
pass down the fermentium
Right.
too.
Wow. This is grandma's fermenting. What do you
Yes,
call
that's what I
these?
want to make.
Yeah, wonderful. So maybe what you have to do eventually is get these autographed by you put grandma on it, anybody's name, and I guess with but how do you make these? I mean, you don't you can't do 3D printer on this, can you yet? Or
No, well,
no?
it's actually pretty big to get printed, and for the
Yeah,
prototype, I was looking into that, but um, it's going to be made in China in Shenzhen.
yeah.
I've been really trying to work with someone in the United States, but my order size is very low, so they're
Yeah.
not. I either don't get phone calls back
Oh,
or I get
right.
not.
Well, each one will be $17,000.
Yeah. No, and to start production is really
Yeah.
complicated because I have to set up the molds, and it's
Yeah.
not. I, I don't think
So,
they're doing it to be mean.
so you were telling me beforehand that you have a friend who was in design school who went back
Yes.
to get a degree and he helped you design this thing because it is
Yes.
gorgeous. I mean,
Yes.
it looks like there's little handles on it, but they're
That's
artistic. They're not handles. They're just little ridges and things
no,
like
and
that.
I wish I could show you what I drew. And so it's
I
funny.
see.
So I wanted it to be functional. He wanted it to look good, and so we kind of went
Ah,
back and forth because what I drew was
I
not that pretty.
see. Just a pot or a pail.
Yeah.
But you have all the tools necessary to keep the stuff underwater. I don't understand
Yes.
fermentation, but when you get the product, you'll understand that, right?
Yeah. When you get the product, all you have to add is salt and vegetables.
Wow, salt and vegetables and water, right?
It depends on the vegetable. Some
No
vegetables have more
kidding.
water in them.
Ah, I
The only
see.
thing that would make it kind of take more time that you really have to pay attention to is there chlorine in your water? Because if there's
Oh,
chlorine in
I
your
see.
water, it'll kill the process. So
Ah,
to get it out, you could just boil the water
oh,
and
so
just
that's
add it
easy.
when it's
Yeah.
cold. You have to make sure it's cold. You don't want to boil
Oh,
everything.
I see. So how
Uh,
long does fermentation take? I mean, like a week, a month, or
3 days to 3 weeks,
no
depending on
kidding.
the
Huh.
temperature. And I
Uh-huh.
actually kind of take it out earlier because I like temperature tasting things.
I mean,
Some
the
people like really
taste
slow.
is heightened if it's earlier, or what? It gets soggy later, or what?
Oh no, it just gets strong. There's a really
Oh,
strong, kind of pickle taste, and there's a one that
ah,
tastes kind of like a cucumber with like a little bit of a kick to it.
I. Well, I mean, it sounds like a great thing for kids to do too. I
Of
mean,
course. And I don't know what age it is, but I think there's an age where every single kid, maybe around 12,
uh-huh.
they'll want to eat a whole jar of pickles every day.
Right.
So
And
you
then
need to
again
keep
when
up
they're
with that.
25 and pregnant. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, but to see that process, I mean, to do something like that and put it, it's like Mr. Wizard making something, that you can
And
eat.
I, it's just for things to think about, especially with kids, is it's interesting to show people how you could preserve food without
Ah,
electricity. So like, this
I
is what
see.
you did in the fall when you had
Yeah.
too many vegetables in your garden and you wanted to be
Oh,
able to eat all winter. So it's kind of
ah,
neat to show
I
people
see.
like if the power went out, what would we do?
Yeah. Ah. And that happens more and more nowadays. I don't know. We're turning into a third world country. I know. I live in a fancy suburb here in Washington D.C. And yeah, we'll lose power once or twice a year for a couple of days sometimes. Yeah. So if I fermented all this great cabbage and everything else I want to save, I'd be a lot happier than throwing away everything in the kitchen, right,
Exactly,
or
exactly.
the refrigerator.
So you're
Wow.
all set.
Yeah.
You can throw a
And,
party.
and when are you? You're on Kickstarter now, and so it's wise, if you're interested to get one now while you're on the Kickstarter because it'll be cheaper once Kickstarter's over, right? And they may
I'm
have to pay
hoping
more.
to do it at that same price.
Ah, well, that's nice.
I'm not sure if I can. I'm basically paying what would be the wholesale price,
Ah, I see.
so I can't wholesale it to other people.
Right.
I think the price break that I would get from the factory is at 9,800 units, which is a full shipping container.
I see. Well, people better go to the website now, man. 90, you got to sell 10,000 of these things.
But I want it to be cheap because I want people to do
Yeah.
it. I want people to
Yeah.
try it. I think it's good for people.
And well, I mean, I think there's so many issues here. I mean, you learn about food preservation and saving, and particularly it encourages you to have a backyard garden because now you could do
Yeah.
more with the food and keep it
Everybody
longer.
needs to experience growing something. That's
Yeah.
that's I if you haven't, you
We
have
can't
to.
grow our jobs anymore, so we might as well grow our food. So, I mean, can a kid do this themselves, does a parent have to do it, or eventually they can do it? How would that work for a kid?
It would come down to knife safety with children.
Ah,
So,
okay. So after it's cut, they could do the rest. It
I
depends on how
mean,
good they are.
it's something you could do alongside a kid, but
Yeah.
especially, which I don't even know if adults should use all the time, but do you know what a mandolin is for slicing vegetables?
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's not for
Yeah.
kids.
I see. Right.
Those things are pretty sharp.
But also, this is a wonderful gift. I mean, for
Yeah.
$48, I mean, you got this thing for somebody. I mean, it looks like you got something from an art shop or something
Right.
like that.
Well, and I don't want to put them out of business, but I think this is better than a fondue pot. So if somebody's
Oh,
getting married,
absolutely, because you could use a fondue pie you stick around away somewhere. Here now you could use it for cookies. Hey, well now we'll take the cookies out and we'll ferment something. Yeah,
put peonies in it, make it a
exactly.
vase.
Yeah, right, exactly. Everything. No, it's a beautiful work of art, and I'm sure the next batch you're going to have 5 different colors or something like
Yes,
this.
yes. The next is going to be green. That's my favorite color. I
I
want it to be
see.
bright green.
To go with vegetables.
Just
Green
like the
vegetables.
color.
Yeah, likewise. Actually, my wife lives next to him. She's big on green. I'm big on yellow. Yeah, I'm a little louder
Well,
than
yellow we
green.
could do. I
Right.
actually, one of my dreams too is to do it. There's American yellowware, which is a type of pottery that's indigenous to this
Oh,
country that hasn't been produced in a while. Well, they make some of it, but I'd love to do something kind of referencing our what is it?
heritage.
Our heritage.
our, our plate heritage or cutlery heritage or whatever. Yeah.
It's yellowware. It's the clay that comes out of the earth is this kind of
Oh, I
nice.
see. And is
Yep.
it bright yellow or it's just
No,
a.
it's
No,
kind of
I
it's a
see.
muted yellow. It might not be
Ah,
bright enough for you,
I
but
see, right, exactly. Well, if it's not cartoon, then it's
yeah.
that's not for me.
So
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to be asking me about how I got government money.
Oh, I see. Well, you got free money on the internet. Did you get government money too?
No, I didn't.
Okay, right. See,
But
no, I mean that's why to me it's so you're a guy who had this idea and now you're able to finance it by going on the internet, and that's
and,
just terrific.
and the other thing I'm doing, so fingers crossed, is
Uh,
anybody that's out there that's starting a project, 100%, if if your city has a business library, really
uh,
just go there and talk to that librarian about what you're doing, and they're going to have
ooh,
so many ideas for you. And if you
ah,
don't if you don't have a business library, drive to one because
Yeah.
there's one in Brooklyn, there's one in New York City.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was,
Brooklyn one is terrific. Yeah.
I was out of work for a little while and I had this job that was coming up and I was going to be doing consulting and I didn't know anything about consulting. And I was like, I'm not going to spend
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars on books right now for a job I might not get.
Right.
So that's when I just kind of started to realize how good this library was.
Good for you. No, I believe in libraries. They're still terrific. And now they're starting to be maker places. They're getting 3D printers and all this kind of stuff to use. Yeah, that's great.
And so my local one, they have a business plan competition.
Oh, they do?
So
Wonderful.
they make you take all these classes, which are pretty easy actually.
Yeah.
So you take about 4 classes on how to do your business plan. You write it up and you submit it. And so there's 9 prizes this year for it. The top one is $15,000.
Wow.
And I just found out that only 90 people entered it, and of those, only 63 of those people their business plans were complete. So I think mine's complete.
Wow.
So
So you
means
got a
I've
chance at 15 grand now, huh?
Yeah, so nine out of 63 is pretty good. So at least I'll get,
Honorable mention.
and so the next, but so I would imagine, like any grant, that's probably what your odds are. You're
Oh,
like
yes. No,
7.
that's terrific. No, I'm going to mention that, and I'm going to do another separate video on that.
If I win, well, I might not get it, and then it'll be
Yeah,
sad.
right. No, that's terrific stuff, though. I mean, it's just the process. You go to
And
your
it's-
local library to get $15,000 for your business plan. Holy crap.
Absolutely. And you get to be in that room full of people
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, these are the people like me. Like they all
Yeah.
have this idea
Do you?
that just exists on paper, but they really hope is going to turn into something that's going to change the way they
And
live
so
it.
you're getting free help there versus going and looking on Google and getting some consultants going to charge you thousands of dollars or whatever.
And it's kind of funny, but again, I think this is probably what your business is about. But if you close your eyes and imagine like what you wish was out there, it's probably out there. Like,
is.
it's hard to find it, but
Absolutely.
it's probably out there.
Yeah.
And the place you find it, the business library, they know so much.
Yeah, they do. Well, that's sweet of you because I believe in that, and I've been trying to promote libraries. I went a couple of years back and even worked in one for a summer. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And actually, they put me on the cover of Library Magazine one year or something like that. But I enjoy it. Yeah, well, Nicholas, it's great.
Sexiest librarians of the
Well, they are pretty good. Yeah. But Fermentium, FERMENTIUM.com, right? That's
Yes.
where to do it. And
mom
you're
came
there
up-
now. You'll be there tomorrow, and you'll be there for a long time because you love what you're doing. And I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm glad you're there. Thank you, Nicholas. Best of wishes.
Thank you. You too.